So where are we going today, Aaron?
We're going to Fort Nisqually, and then we're going to where Fort Nisqually actually was.
It's a Hudson Bay Company fort.
Yeah. The first place we're gonna go is around Tacoma, but then where it actually was is in DuPont.
Apparently, sometime in the mid 20th century, there were still some of the buildings at the DuPont site, and they were rescued and moved to Point Defiance, where they recreated the fort.
And they moved it over there in hopes that it would be an educational experience for people who were also going to the zoo.
I believe at the time it was before I-5, Interstate 5, and so they, instead of reconstructing it on site, they took it to a park so that it would be a tourist destination versus where no one would see it if it was at the original location.
Right.
So Western Washington, which I think maybe all of Washington State, was British territory until Treaty of 1846, I think. That's when the boundary between the United States and Canada was set to where it is today. And so that's why it was a Hudson Bay Company fort. So there's two bastions, one on two corners that are opposite each other, and then it gives a field of fire down the wall. Okay, so what's on the map?
Building number 1 is the Factor's house.
Which is that white building.
Yeah.
You want to do everything in order?
Yeah, let's do everything in order. So
Okay.
We're looking right now at the Factor's house. Construction began in 1854 for Dr. William Fraser Ptolemy and his family. It was built in the new Yankee style with milled lumber instead of standard post-in sill heavy timber style used everywhere else in the fort, so it's different.
Okay. I wonder, is this an original building or reconstruction?
This house is one of 2 original Fort Nisqually structures. It's listed on the National Historic Landmark.
Okay, so there's 2 buildings here that are original.
Right.
And this is one of them.
Yeah. It was restored in 2003.
The door's closed, but we can go in. Well, this is really cool. Do we know what this room is?
I think this is the parlor.
It's pretty nice for 1855, out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess Dr. Ptolemy had a big family.
So this is the dining room.
Yes.
So we have blue transfer print some kind of a black transfer print there.
But it's like a green. I've
Yeah.
never seen green before. I've seen the black and white and the blue. No, I've never seen green. I guess Dr. Tomey used this as his business office also.
I wonder who these people are.
I think that's Jane.
Is that his wife?
Yeah.
I've seen this map before. It's actually online. The Secretary of State's, Washington Secretary of State's website.
Mm-hmm.
And this shows the Puget Sound Agricultural Company's land claim, and these lands now are on Fort Lewis.
Okay. You can go see the master bedroom and the children's bedroom. So this is the children's bedroom. Dr. Tomey and Jane had 6 children. And so their older children were sleeping in here.
Makes sense. Has its own fireplace.
Yeah.
And then over here is the master bedroom.
Yeah, where Dr. Tomey and his wife and their youngest children would have been. So that's why you see a cradle and...
Right. You have a musket up on the wall.
Yeah.
And I was noticing, I think that's a beaver hat.
Yeah. I think that's their toilet.
This has a fireplace as well. Oh,
I'm gonna put a chamber pot in
there's a
right
chamber
there.
pot in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And then whatever is upstairs is off limits.
Yeah.
So what I'm not seeing is a kitchen.
Yeah, I think they used
It must be one of the other.
Fort kitchen.
Yeah, they brought food in
They
here.
brought food in here. I love this wraparound porch.
So here's a replica of a smokehouse. You
It's
think what?
probably, like where the kitchen is probably pretty accurate. Because they probably found some evidence that they were using, like doing cooking in that location, you know,
Well,
relative to their house.
It makes sense that it would be behind the house,
Right.
and they'd access the house,
Right.
like that.
Yeah, if there's not a kitchen in the house, it would have to be closed.
So what is this semi-subterranean building?
That's their root cellar.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. So this is the wash house. This is where you would have spent a lot of time.
Oh my gosh, I know. Oh, they do have one of these. I don't really know what it's called, but it acts as an agitator in the big buckets.
Which thing is that?
This right here, this thing with the claws on the bottom. So
Okay.
you hold the handles at the top, and then you rotate it to create agitation in your bucket
I see.
with your clothes. So then you don't have to do as much like hand washing with the boards.
Yeah. And you see the irons that you
Yeah.
heat up on the stove.
Yeah. Doing laundry in this time was hard.
Yeah. So here's your oven that you'd bake bread in, I would imagine. So here's the kitchen. Definitely smoky in here.
Yeah. They actually used the fire at one point.
Well, all of this is used by
Yeah.
reenactors.
Yeah.
So there's your outhouse.
Mhm.
There's the garden. Now what I don't know is if an outhouse would have been next to the garden in the original
I
layout.
have a feeling it would not have been usually.
Yeah, so here's the poultry house.
I guess they think that originally their chicken coops were temporary, so they were taking them down and moving them throughout the fort rather than having them be permanent, which makes sense because you would.
Okay.
I guess even today when you keep chickens, you should move your coop around. So
Right. The laborer's dwelling house. Let's go check out this one.
Huh. So this is supposed to represent like a cabin that would have actually been outside the fort.
When I was doing the excavations down at Fort Vancouver,
Mm-hmm.
they had I think it's called Tanaka Village.
Yeah.
And so around the fort, all these encampments and cabins and things like that formed, where a lot of the laborers lived, worked in agricultural fields rather than inside the fort itself.
Right, yeah. That would make sense.
The clerk's house, which is staff only.
This was the home and office of Clerk Edward Huggins. So originally this was a storehouse, but now it's a blacksmith shop and a carpenter's workshop. So there's carpentry on one side and blacksmithing on the other. Well, this is the granary.
So this is designated a registered National Historic Landmark. The granary.
And the doctor's house. It's called the factor's house.
Apparently the granary and the factor's house are original buildings that were at Fort Nisqually in DuPont and then moved to this location when they reconstructed the fort.
So the granary housed wheat, oats, barley, and peas.
The sale shop.
Oh, they had all kinds of stuff. You had combs and cotton and glasses. I think it's worth remembering that a lot of what they were cooking on and eating on was smaller than what we're using today.
Yeah, and portion sizes were smaller.
Yeah, that's really true.
But I mean, if you not necessarily because people's appetites were smaller, but because food just needed to go further.
Yeah, for sure.
So the people at Fort Vancouver claimed that Western forts actually didn't have pointed logs since like Hollywood made movies. They invented that.
It would serve the same purpose as like a crenellation where you could like see between but still have some concealment.
Well, I think the idea is that it would be more difficult to climb over it if it's spiky on top. Because these kind of walls never had a walkway.
Right, they didn't.
The bastion at the two corners serves that purpose.
Let's start in here.
So see, if you look here,
Yep.
you can see what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Where you have a line of fire through this rifle hole all the way down to the corner.
Yeah.
And the other bastion you can see over there
Has the same one to the other corner and the opposite corner.
It has the line of fire to that same corner.
Yeah.
And then they both have a line of fire down to this corner.
Right.
So, you know, at first I was thinking, how come there aren't 4 bastions?
Right.
But you actually don't need 4.
You don't need them.
You can see the outside of the wall on both sides from the 2 bastions.
They're claiming that the guns were really used to signal approaching ships.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was used as a detention cell for criminals.
So what do you think, Aaron?
Well, this Fort Nisqually is a really cool place to visit and get an idea of what people were living like here. It'd be really cool if you could come when they're doing a reenactment so you could see the more living history aspects of the fort. But it's a cool place to come, especially with kids. I think they'd like it.
It's pretty cool. I'm glad we came here.
Yeah, it's really cool.
This is probably where the fur trader reenactors set up their tents.
Yeah.
So here's the main gate. So this is the Fort Nisqually site. I'm not really sure what there is to see here, but basically somewhere in this vicinity is where Fort Nisqually was actually located. So let's go see what we can find. You know, it makes sense that the fort would have been in this spot, because I believe this was all prairie, so it would have been out in the open. Easy to see from a distance, and then more of a defensive location up on a small rise where it's a good distance between it and the nearest forest, so you can see all around. Presumably Fort Nisqually was located right behind us, although there's nothing really marking it, no real indication. They have the area surrounded by a black fence, so but we're gonna go with it was right behind us there. Do you have any final thoughts, Erin?
Well, in terms of a settlement location, this is a really nice one because it's right in the prairie. So I think they picked a good spot.
Yeah, and there's actually fresh water, like right over there. There's a small stream.
Yeah. And they would have had access to the sound relatively close.
Yeah, which is maybe 4 miles away to the west. So that was our excursion to Fort Nisqually. Thanks for watching.